All right. How is everyone, by the way? Notice everyone's saying hello. Wow, we have a bunch of people waiting.
And then we can look at the things together. Hey everybody, happy Friday! Woo! Weekend! Awesome! Welcome back to Reaper Pro Tips with me, your host Anne, and disembodied voice Justin, who you may have already heard asking how you were. I need to get chat. Oh no, I'm losing chat. Chat. There you are, chat. I'm trying to get everything organized on my screen so that I can see things, make sure my OBS is working, see you, and see the questions, so that we can all have a good day having questions answered. Because awesome. All right. So, yeah, look at all you guys. Wow. We got people right here. And thank you to everybody who came out for my stream yesterday. I did kind of a ninja stream Thursday at my usual time. It may become a regular thing. I don't know. I like streaming. I'm really enjoying it. So, yes. Happy weekend. Yeah, we're not doing anything special this week. Well, actually, David and I are going out for a nice dinner because there's a restaurant we really like in San Jose that has outdoor seating dining. So we're like, we want to keep them open because they're the nicest restaurant close to us. So we're going out for a nice dinner tomorrow night. Maybe we'll bring Kiri something in a doggy bag. Oh, it went really well, Coos. I got up almost to 100 people watching that stream without any raids or anything, although Giggling Geekette was awesome and hosted us. So yesterday I did a Games Workshop commissar that I have to do for a commission. I was like, well, I may as well hang out and talk while I do this commission stuff. Yep, we having a date night. Yep, David and I having a date night. Oh, it was Francis who gave you the sub to my personal channel. Good. Yay. 90 minutes of Anne leading into Reaper Live. Well, that's actually a that's a great point, D. Clearman. I guess it makes sense that, I should do it right before while it's the waiting room. It's the waiting room for Ed and Ron. Right? Yeah. Yeah, it's I mean it's not for everybody, right, Griggy? But I mean, sometimes I think that in the streaming market, if you intend to, if you're doing it for a little boost to your income or whatever, some of us older people maybe have an edge because we're committed and we're like, we've got that work ethic and all that. I think being dependable and sticking to a schedule is a good thing in the Twitch world, from what I've read. So, maybe that gives us a tiny edge, even though we're old people. But anyway, hi everybody. Let's do an AMA. Justin, do we want to answer like one question or two questions and then do our first giveaway?
Yeah, let's do that. Yeah.
Okay. Let me get back to my questions here.
And I did not hear back from Courtney. But like we had talked about, I think we should say that because we talked about what the giveaway would be. Let's go with a big dragon, and by big dragon we do mean big dragon, guys.
Yeah.
And then the 6 paints you talked about.
Yeah, I've been tardy about that. I'm going to give you guys a selection of reds today because of the big dragon that we chose. Probably a couple of Pathfinder reds. I'll have to talk to Justin about what I want to give you guys.
Yes, you guys will receive a large mini, and we do mean large, like large. Not
large
just
and in
like
charge.
the size of your hand. Yes, much larger than your hand. And you're going to get some paint as well. So it's a little up in the air, right? Not really up in the air. We're still trying to get quantities from people who have those quantities. But we do know that it will happen. It's kind of a surprise.
I think I'm going to give you guys a selection of reds that's very similar to what I've been using. Like just a good from really dark shadow to bright highlight. of my usual succession for reds. So I think I know which paints I want to give out. So I've got them right next to me. So we'll just see. We'll make sure we have enough, and then we can go for it. I don't want to pick something that we're out of. And this time I was a little tardy on choosing my colors, so yeah. All right, let's see here. Wow, we've got so many questions. There have been so many questions since we last did this. How can this be? Let's see. Okay, so I know we did the, okay, I know I did the Bones Metallics. Okay, so I think we came to Francis, which is, can you demonstrate different ways to dry brush or side brush for beginners, and how to know where to apply the paint on the bristles, or how much is too much or too little paint? That's an interesting question. Let me grab, oh dear, my palette is in the other room. I guess I have to use my dirty palette. One second. Thank goodness that I have two palettes, right? I have the one that has wet paint in it that I have shrink wrapped, and the one that I cleaned and totally forgot to grab before the AMA today. So we'll just have to do the dirty palette. Dirty palette. All right. So let's see. What do I have that I can side brush? I can do that. Okay. And I'm going to get some of my Moonstone Blue out and do that. And okay. Let me just get back. I want to get back to chat and make sure that I've got you guys up. There we are. Alrighty, so let's do this. Let's go to our mini cam, palette cam right now. Woo! Okay, so we'll just do a little bit of there. Oh, the AMA giveaway sticky tag. Woohoo! Alright, so I'm going to show you guys on a model that's actually in progress, because I can do it on her hair easily. We'll grab a little bit of Moonstone Blue. For both dry brushing and side brushing, you don't want to thin your paint very much, but I still thin it just a tiny bit. And I never use a good brush for dry brushing, not ever. Actually, maybe I have. I wish I had a terrain piece that I was working on. Maybe I do. Let me see if I have a terrain piece. Because dry brushing is so much better over a really textured surface. But I don't know that I do. Yeah, we may just have to go with this for now, guys. So I'll screw up my hair and then I'll fix it. I was going to use this model maybe for a black hair tutorial anyway, so. Alright, so I added just a tiny bit of water to my paint. The problem with dry brushing in my book is that it, where's my flat? There it is. It leaves a texture, right? So, put it in the sink with hot water, Maravi. Put it in the sink with hot water and spritz some Method or Simple Green or whatever your kitchen cleanser is into it. 409 works great. I don't know if Justin has opened up the giveaway yet, guys, so wait for Justin to cue you in. I'm just
hashtag AMA.
So I keep, like, paper, like, just construction paper underneath my, obviously, in my area here, so I'll just use the paper here to do this, but essentially for dry brushing, you're trying to load up your brush. I use a flat because I'm always trying to get texture at this point, so I'm about halfway up the bristles. You want it to come, you want to rub it off or stroke it off on the paper until it's really, really lightweight. And then if you're dry brushing, you honestly just come back and lightly, very lightly, go across whatever texture area you're trying to pick up. Let me get closer in. But you saw how that brought that up. Now, the downside, let me get close, let me do this, let me get in focus. Now, the downside of dry brushing is it's going to leave a scratchy texture. And the other downside is it tends to destroy brushes. The less paint you have on your brush, and the more you thin it, the less texture you're going to get. It's also imprecise. It works best on large surfaces. So, but now you're seeing to the point where not a lot is coming off of my brush because it's getting so dry. And in a moment, it's going to dry on my brush. And that is, a danger sign for any brush is when you get dry paint in it. So that's why I'm not a big fan of dry brushing, but that's how you do it. I use it only on terrain, to be very frank. And I always use a crappy brush, a crappy flat. I have some old art school brushes that are big canvas brushes that I like to use for it. Side brushing is more controlled. You're going to thin your paint more. I probably would go for a 4:1 or 3:1, depending on how solid you want the effect. Like if you want a very bright highlight, very strong highlight, then leave your paint thicker. If you want your paint, if you could. In our I'm gonna stick to the questions in the Discord for the moment. Yeah, that one might be a good Discord question. To go into an AMA, because I can't. It's already, the chat is pushing your question up, and I want to go and hit some of the stuff from the Discord AMA channel today. Either that or wait until we do stream on Monday and ask then, when I might have a little more time. So, okay, I'm using a bigger brush. See how thin my paint is. You can see the bristle, the brown of the bristles through it. You can see how much I've got on there. And you can see that I can do like a brush stroke. You want it further up on the brush for side brushing because you're using the side of the brush. And how much paint you have on your brush and how thick that paint is going to determine how light the stroke is. So you really are just taking the side of the brush and going over the areas that you want. And it's going to pick up all the top texture. So when you've got really fine strands, and you never want it to dry on your brush. Like in here, you actually want thinner paint. You just don't want much of it on your brush. So that's how you do the side brush. Is just load up use a longer brush, load up about half the bristles. I would say about 3-to-1 paint to water if you're doing highlights. And if you want it more subtle, you can thin it more. Just make sure to take a lot. You want a lot of paint off your brush. You want to be able to draw that nice line that's very controlled. Then use the side of your brush to just gently bring up the strands. And the nice thing about side brushing is, one, you're not wrecking your brush because you're not using a weird, across the strand stroke. And you're not letting your paint dry in your brush. You actually want the paint to be wet because you want it to come off of the brush very easily. You just want it to touch the very precise top tips. This is why the side brushing is what I usually recommend for like picking up highlights on fur or doing hair, because you want to be precise, right? You don't want to get your hair highlight all over everything around the hair, especially when you're doing 28mm. And with side brushing, you can just use kind of the tip of your brush, the side of the tip of your brush, to get very gentle and lightweight on the hairs, so that you can get fine highlights. So it's not going to pick up like big area highlights, like here I had to add some extra brush strokes on the top of the head because there were areas that were a little more flat, but that I still wanted to suggest, a nice highlight on. But you could pick up these few bright strands that are sculpted on. You could use side brushing to pick up those strands a little brighter. So that is side brushing and dry brushing and thin paint and thick paint and all the rest of it. All right. Oh no, I need to disable my intro. It's us. There we go. It wouldn't be an AMA if we didn't have some blorfs. Okay, let's see here. Oh no, chat got huge. Now chat's back. Okay. Okay, relates to the question by Margaret, and the partial answer. This is from Pendrake. About painting something translucent. Have I ever painted on vellum? No, I have some butterflies from, oh gosh. I have forgotten his name. I have totally blorfed on your name. Arg. I have some vellum stuff that's, like laser cut. But yeah, they use it for translucent stuff. Yeah, yep, yes. Yeah, he's got those vellum, Greg. That's who it is. It's Greg, who's the judge sometimes at ReaperCon in my team. But Greg does that. No, you could totally do it. Mylar I haven't ever tried. Vellum is interesting. You could do a semi-translucent effect with vellum. But, you gotta paint with really thin paint. The thing is, because if you paint with thick paint, then the paint's resin is gonna make the vellum go non-translucent. So you want to use inks, or you want to, and you want to thin them if it's acrylic inks, or you want to use really thin paint to do that. And you don't want to prime the vellum at all. So that's one thing where you could probably use that to get a semi-translucent. You could get translucent with that, but you couldn't get transparent. All right. Differences between dark elf skin and dusky skin, and then we'll do the giveaway. That's easy because dark elf skin, both of them are dark elf skin tones. Dusky skin is based off of Volcano Brown, which is an old pro paint color, and it does exist in the current core line as well. I noticed that people like Derek Schubert were liking the dusky or the Volcano Brown better for dark elf skin because it had a bit of brown in it, whereas the actual dark elf triad is more of a grayish purple, more kind of an alien kind of look for dark elves. And so he wanted more of a natural brown skin, but still with a little bit of purple in there. So he was using Volcano Brown, and I got that idea to do kind of an alternative Dark Elf skin triad. So that's what the Dusky Skin Triad is for. You could also use it for Duergar or any underground like race that has that kind of like darky purple skin tone. It works for all of that, but I think works very well for Dark Elves. Alrighty, do you have a giveaway ready, Justin?
I do.
Awesome. So everybody should hashtag free?
Hashtag AMA.
Oh, hashtag AMA. Yes, not free. Hashtag AMA.
It should have a special, giveaway entrance for this one.
Yeah. I'm going to move I'm still reconfiguring my thingy here. Let me...
All right. Our first winner of a large dragon model as well as 6 paints is SaulJustSaul.
SaulJustSaul. Just Saul.
Since we're only giving away 3 of these today, 3 of these sets, go ahead and type !claim in chat if you're here, Saul.
Yes, !
And we'll know that you're here, and you can,
!claim. SaulJustSaul, yeah, you won a dragon and paint. A big dragon. So yeah, !claim. Type !claim in chat. CLAIM. There you go. Awesome. And then he still has to email giveaways at Reaper Mini, right? Justin?
Correct. Well,
okay.
So what we'll do is, hold on.
Oh, Justin's getting ready. Yes, congrats.
There is the,
Oh, there we go. If you look at Darth Abacus spot.
All the info.
Okay. Yay! So email us at at giveaways, plural, at reapermini.com. We'll need your username on Twitch exactly as it appears, what you won, and what show you won it on. So in this case, you are on Reaper Pro Tips, on the AMA and giveaway. You won a large dragon and 6 paints, and you need to give them your SaulJustSaul username at giveaways at reapermini.com. And then we can send you your stuff, Saul. Congrats. That's all right, Francis. That's all right. We'll give you guys a little bit more wind up for the middle of the show giveaway. How about that? All right, Chibi. Chibi has asked me a real AMA question: grilling or smoking, and the best entree for both. Oh, that's hard because we have a grill right now, but it's not charcoal. And I used to have back in Texas. I had a smoker. I would say I find I can replicate a lot of grilling stuff, like just in the cast iron in the oven. So I would say smoking. And I think the best thing for smoking is gotta be ribs. Just gotta be. Like, you can oven ribs and use, smoked salt and grill them and, and do that kind of thing, finish them on the grill. And it's good. But I think that the low and slow baby back ribs are probably, like, where it's at. And as far as grilling, we actually love doing, skirt steak for fajitas on the grill. That's probably our favorite. Like, David loves, we hadn't thought about making fajitas, and then I, suggested fajitas a couple weeks ago, and we made them for the first time, and now he's like, that's his favorite food that we make. So yeah, the skirt steak, I would say, is the grill. Brisket also, Randello, but I don't know, just baby back ribs. Brisket's a close second, though. Brisket is really a close second. Smoked tri-tip is good, too. Yeah, so much. Yeah, we have to have a food question. This is Anne's stream. We have to talk food because I love to cook and bake. Man, you guys wait. When fall and winter hits, I'm going to be baking like tons. You're going to hear a lot more baking stuff. All right, what do we got here? We want Wild Crazy Hungry. What is a model or theme of models that you want Reaper to make but have not seen yet? Oh boy, I had so many things Wild Crazy Hungry over the years. I really wanted a huge 5-headed dragon, and then Julie made Melderkar. I had wanted that for ages. And then the big thing that I was always asking for was fox people, kitsune. But then Derek Schubert sculpted a bunch of those. So now I think the one thing that's still on my my must-have list, and I think, did they do it for Bones 5? A black coach, like an undead coach with a carriage. Do you know if they did that? I thought we had art for it, but I don't know if it ever got done, Justin.
I do not know.
I would love to see it like an undead coach, like with the big black coach with like the gothic design and the undead horses drawing it, and maybe ghosty people like swirling along with it. I think GW has one. It's like a common undead theme ever since like Hound of the Baskervilles and all that stuff. It's like the ghostly carriage out on the moors kind of thing. I always wanted one of those. And also the other thing that I always wanted was a Baba Yaga hut, and we got that too. So. So most of the things that I've wanted over the years have actually come. Oh, I know. Okay. Wait. We got to have Ron do this. I keep suggesting it. He keeps agreeing that it's a great idea, and then we don't get it. Baby monsters. And I think did Christine do some of those? I don't remember. She has some baby monsters with the adventurers. But the other thing I always thought would be great would just have a familiar pack of baby monsters, just like a baby griffin and a baby owlbear, and a little baby cute chubby dragon, and baby monsters. That's the other thing I wish we would do. And then the other thing that I thought, but actually Dark Sword is doing them, is purebred dogs, a bunch of different dogs, and Dark Sword is doing those now. They have a really nice Rottweiler and a Husky, and I just ordered their Sheltie yesterday. Oops, Justin is out of my ear. Oh no, he's run away. When I gesticulate, Justin gets thrown out of my ear. Okay, but yeah. So those are some of the ideas that I kind of have wanted for a long time, and we just haven't gotten to it. Alrighty, so paint, convert, or destroy. Tiki Wood Golem, the topless Ellenstone Cowgirl Mini, and an Ed Skeleton. Wow. Well, I'll give you destroy right away. The topless Ellenstone. She needs to go. I actually refuse to paint that model. That is the only model in my entirety of Time at Reaper that I've refused to paint. I don't mind topless figures, but she's nude down below too, and I just thought it was a little gratuitous. I felt a little uncomfortable. But it's a popular model too, and it's a good sculpt. So, your mileage may vary, right? I would definitely convert an Ed Skeleton because the Arachno Assassin, it's got 8 arms, but you could totally give it 10 and make it I don't know, is there something with 10 arms? I don't know. But let's see here. And then I would paint the Wood Golem. Why not? It'd be fun. It's wood. It's easy. But yeah, Randallo, the questions that I'm answering a lot of them are over in our Discord in the AMA channel. Reaper has its own airbrush now that's coming out this fall that we partnered with Badger with. It's called the Reaper Vex airbrush. And we'll be selling those online at ReaperCon Online over the Labor Day weekend, and then I think it's going to release 2 months later. But we're partnering with Badger because we believe in their airbrushes, and I know a lot of people use the Badger Patriot 105, I think. Oh yeah, Coos, good. The Sheltie pack, yeah, they're adorable. I grew up with Shelties. I couldn't resist. Alrighty, let's see here. Brian, aka Rignays, I see references to a recipe for a thing called gunk that you used to use. What is it? Do you still use it for anything, or has it been replaced by brush-on sealer? Yada yada. Okay, so there's a big misconception that I use brush-on sealer regularly to thin paints, and that is not true. I use it when I make washes, but that's it. Otherwise, I don't use it at all. I don't use it as a glazing medium. I don't use it for any of that stuff. The only thing I add to my paints these days is water with a little bit of flow improver mixed in. And the old gunk recipe was a heavy load of flow improver plus slow dry plus water. And we used that back in the day because paint didn't have additives pre-added. And when we found ourselves adding those things to every batch of paint, like when I found myself adding it to every batch of paint that I mixed from any company, I just pre-mixed it in a bottle and I used it as my gunk. But nowadays, it's like either my just water or my just water with a tiny bit of Reaper Flow Improver added are what I use. And I use the Flow Improver mix, like if I'm doing fine details and I just want that little bit of extra surface tension break. But all of the Reaper Master Series paints have Flow Improver already in them, guys. So you really shouldn't need extra unless you're doing like fine work. So yeah, that was what gunk is. Those who watched the Dark Sword DVD, I was still using gunk at that time, but I've since gone away from it. When I got to create the paint line and I was able to add Flow Improver directly to all of our formulas, that's when I stopped using gunk. I still keep the other around, like when I'm using... The only other paint that I really like from a different company is the Scale Color Artist, which is the actual tube paint the Scale 75 put out. So when I'm working with this, I do add extra Flow Improver, since it doesn't come with it. Let's see here. Yeah, there's like no Sheltie minis. Dark Sword just, I hope he keeps going and keeps smoking. He did Shiloh Shepherd for me. He did our dog Leo, our old dog Leo, the Shiloh Shepherd as a sculpt. Andy Pieper did it. Andy does such nice dogs. The Rottweiler I'm really impressed with. The sculpt is really good. Let's see here. What are the bright skin tones Triad paints for? To me, it looks like pink shadow, orange midtone, and yellow highlight. I don't get how that works. It actually does work. And if you look at some 2D artists who do more cartoony or anime style stuff, you're going to see them use a lot of pink in their shadows, kind of almost an orangey skin tone, and yet golden highlights. I originally made it because I wanted a more cartoony Triad, because coming from Games Workshop, one of their basic brown, I think it's brown skin. I can't remember the name of the color anymore. But their basic skin tone is very orange. It's very saturated. And some people really get used to that and really, really like it. So I wanted to do kind of a color in homage to that. And then I wanted that pink blush color, because that undershade really works on like women, and on like if you're doing cartoons with rosy cheeks, or you need a pink nose on your dwarf, it works really well for that. And then the highlight is just, takes it up more into a golden ochre lighter. Usually when you look at like 2D art, especially 2D fantasy art, if you look, the shadows are much cooler and the highlights really do go golden. They go warm on skin tones. So that's the thought process behind that Triad. Of all of the paints in that Triad, if you wanted to buy one to try it out, I'd say buy Bright Skin. Just because it's, like I said, it's a slightly different skin tone. It can look really good if you're using bright color, or saturated color scheme on a model. Let's see here. I don't know. Hey, that's a good question, Justin. Do we need to re-enter the hashtag AMA for additional drawings?
No, you will not need to.
Okay. Edward J, it changes. Let me toss. I want to keep working through the questions in the Discord for sure. I don't know. I mean, I have several. Like the Frost Giant Queen is one of my all-time favorites. Maldrakar is one of my all-time favorites. But I really love some of the stuff that I've been working on lately. There's Christine the Devout, the female druid, the newer sculpt of her. That's a really good sculpt. And then there are some old Werner Klock sculpts that are just classic that I adore. Tara the Silent, stuff like that. You can't ever pick one. I've painted so many. Let's see here. Let's get down to, how do you make clean cut water on bases where the water goes to the edge of the base? Oh, Mathophile, that's using plastic card. It's a resin pour, and what you want to do is you want to have a squared off base, so like a plinth. So if you're going to do a pool, what a lot of people do is they'll take one of these wooden plinths, they're real cheap from Hobby Lobby or Michael's, or even online. You can get them online on Amazon. They'll take a Dremel and they'll hollow out the area where they want water. And then what they'll do is they'll put plastic card flat against the flat side. So they'll leave some of the flat side. Put plastic card against there. You can use a little bit of like putty or tape to kind of seal it off. You definitely don't want to leave it on a surface. You want to leave it on something where if it leaks, you don't mind it. You try not to. You try to make it real tight and use like masking tape to join the corners and keep it real tight together. And then you do the resin pour. And then when it's done, you can actually pop the plastic card off. And sometimes you might get a little residue if you've used some adhesive in here. But then you essentially sand it down. You start with coarser and you go to really, really fine sanding stuff, and you can get it really nice and clear. I mean, I saw David has done this on his mermaid. That's how he did it. And actually, I think if you go to lightminiatures.com, which is my boyfriend David's website, go to how he did his mermaid on the blog, and he talks about the resin pour. He actually shows how he did it. So you should. There you go. Go there for that. It is a good. He's very good. David's very good at writing up how he does things, and he's an awesome painter. So yeah. Let's see here. Bulletin right wrong. What kind of dog do I have? I have a Shiloh Shepherd. I'm involved with the Shiloh Shepherd Breed Club, one of them. We do a lot of science in our breed club. We're very into like using science for better dog breeding and being responsible, reputable breeders. We tightly control the gene pool that we've got to try to breed the healthiest dogs possible. But Shilohs are a rare breed that was started about 40 years ago in upstate New York by a German Shepherd breeder who was having a lot of problems with temperament and hip dysplasia. Her dogs were just getting like really hard. They were really high energy. German Shepherds were in those days, a lot of German imports, and it was hard for the average family to have. And so she wanted a more family-friendly German Shepherd like the ones she'd grown up with in Germany. So she went out and introduced a couple other breeds into her stock to create a different breed, and then bred them for 40 years very selectively to try to minimize hip dysplasia, to reduce the incidence of it, and to generally get healthier and lower energy, more family-friendly dogs. So we have long coat ones and we have short coat ones, and Shilohs are fantastic, and I love them. And I work hard, actually, every week. My other part-time job, in addition to everything else I do, is as secretary for our breed club. So I work very hard to try to make sure the breed goes in a healthy way into the future. I've been involved with purebred dogs since I was a kid. I used to show and do obedience and junior showmanship. Was just something I fell into because I love dogs. And so a lot of what I saw was just the AKC doesn't really have many health controls. They've got a kind of a health foundation, but like, you know, any breeder with papers can just breed two dogs together and it doesn't really matter if they have health issues or whatever. So we wanted to do something that was, our breed founder wanted to do something that was a lot tighter controlled where we could actually work on improving the breed. And so that's how we got where we are. I could go on about Shilohs for at least an hour, so don't start. Don't get me started. But they're beautiful dogs. Wait, here, let me show you my favorite photo of Leo. Because, you know, Leo was a grand champion, and also he won like 8 best in shows. I used to show him. And he's our boy. He died at ReaperCon actually last year. Let me get my, and then that is Leo. So that's what a long-coated Shiloh Shepherd looks like. Oh yeah, Cannon dogs are nice. So that was my Leo. That was actually before one of our show weekends where I got another breeder to take a good picture of him. But he was really a beautiful dog. We miss him very much. He was like kind of the epitome of the Shiloh Shepherd temperament. Like there was never a human he didn't love. I was about 100-pound dog. Although his fur made him look bigger. But yeah, he was our good boy. You can see his face that he was a sweetie. He was a super soft temperament and very sweet. So yeah, so that was our boy. About 8 best in shows, and that was all breed best in shows. I used to go to the rare breed shows, but their regular AKC breeds could show there as well. So we had a wall full of ribbons and trophies that Leo won during the course of his thing. I do enjoy showing. I think it's really good. And then there's Kiri, who I still have. There's my favorite Kiri photo. She looks very wolfy in this one. So now Kiri is old. She's about 12 and a half years old. But she's a smooth-coated Shiloh Shepherd. So more the traditional Shepherd coat, which is a lot easier to care for. The plush coats aren't like collies. They aren't really hard to care for, but they are a little bit rougher. You do have to brush them regularly or they will mat. But smooth coat's really easy. So that's Kiri. That's about 3 years old, I think, Kiri. And she's sleeping next to me right now. My quirky hobbies and ability to keep up with them. I know. I have a very busy life, Hagar. I have an extremely... Oh no! I thought I deactivated that. Ah! Wow, I'm just terrible. There. This is gonna be full of blorfs. Yeah, I mean, I have a really busy life. I work really hard on the breed club. Like the weekends, I go over to Shiloh Shepherds and commissions and hanging out, spending quality time with David, which is, you know, during the week can be rough, except in the last part of the evening. And then, yeah, I do the streaming, and I do my Patreon, and I do commissions, and, you know, I do all sorts of stuff. So it's like I always joke that I have a main job, a second job, and a third job. And dogs are like the third job. But I care about it. I really care about this breed. I mean, I love the dogs. It's the breed I've always been looking for. And so I put a lot of time into like studying genetics and we work with UC Davis to genetically sequence our gene pool and all that sort of cool stuff. So there's cool stuff involved as well. All right. Let us get to the next question because I really could go on and on. Let me see what we got. Yeah, Kiri still has puppy moments too, for sure. Oh, I play Overwatch, so, you know, that's David and I were playing Overwatch last night. I want my Bastion skin, darn it. Okay, how many paint colors are out now? Good luck. Good question. Over 500? I haven't done a precise count, and now we've got new ones, you know, for ReaperCon and everything like that. So, and the new ones that have come out for Bones 5. We have a dang, like, a lot of paint colors, guys. A lot of paint colors. But yeah, well over 500 at this point. And that's in print, I'm assuming. I mean, if you count the out-of-print stuff, it's probably even bigger. Let's see here. I'm trying to get everything to fit on my screen because I want my chat and I want my questions. Make sure I'm keeping up with this. Ah, yeah, German Rottweiler. Yeah, Roddy's. Well, look at the Roddy. That's too bad, Lord Rawl. Look at the Roddy that Dark Sword Miniatures puts out. If you sort their front page by the newest, it'll be in the first page, I think. I thought their Rottweiler was really well done. I did a puppy evaluation on Rottweiler, on a litter of Rottweilers, actually, a couple years ago. They're nice dogs. When they're well-bred, they're nice dogs. More colors than VGA. Yes. Exactly. Right. So, absolutely. Yeah, it's definitely, they're Roddy. And it has a great paint job, too. I forget who painted it, but it's a great paint job. Alrighty, so I think let's do two more questions, and then we will do another giveaway. Oh, good girl, Kiri. How about you just stretch and not have to explode? She's restless. Hey, Kiri girl, come here. What's up? Hi. Hi, good girl. Yeah, I'm looking at you. She's like, what are you saying, Mama? You're all distracted. Alrighty. When you're doing NMM, what is your thought process on intricately designed armor from the Bearded Goblin? You want to go out? Alright, hold on. Dog calls. I'm going to let her out the door. And hopefully she won't, go crazy. So, 1 second, guys. I'll be right back. Or maybe not. Maybe she'll settle. Go ahead and settle, Kiri dog. How about you settle? If you want a drink, you can get it after the stream. Yeah, you're a good girl. Can you settle down? Good girl. There we go. Smiling. Okay. False alarm. Can you settle? She's like, I guess. Sometimes I think she's just like a cat. Like the other day, it was like she just was like a cat. She was in here, and then she wanted to be out there until she was out there, and then she wanted to be in here. Good girl. Good settle. She has been having kind of a morning, though. So if I get Kiri needs to go out now sign, I'll have to do a quick break. All right. So intricately designed armor. You really have to take it piece by piece. So let's get out my favorite new project that I have been slowly working on cleaning, which is the Templar from Galapagos. And she has, I'll actually go down to Minicam and I'll show you what she's got. It's a beautiful model. And boom. So you've got this beautiful lion shoulder pad, which is, most of these people are painting NMMs. Really, when you've got intricately designed armor. Here we go. So they did it in NMM. And I like the silver that they did. But when you are doing something like this, when it's this big, you could probably get away with doing metallics, but NMM is probably allows you to control the surface a little bit better. Yes, she wants her other pack member. That's true. She has to keep track of all the pack, and David's in the other room. That is true. But yeah, so when you're doing something like this in NMM, you really want to kind of isolate each area and do it separately. So when I am doing this in NMM, I will probably kind of block in, like, say, the forehead area, like up here. And then I'll kind of, like, isolate each little muscle group or sculpted area and figure out how the light is hitting it. And then I'll work up that area. And then I'll go to the next area and kind of work it up. The other way you can do it is by doing one big pass over everything. Like, get your bright light source, focus it on the model, turn on your overhead light, kind of pay attention to where the light hits most brightly, where you see intense shadows down here, right here, and block all that in super fast with midtones, highlights, and shadows. Then go in and, keeping all that in mind, then work on each section separately. But when you've got intricate stuff going on, I feel like you really, even if you do one quick pass to establish your basics, you then need to focus separately on each area. And then you always step back, right? You're always going to step back and make sure that you've got everything looking correctly. But the other one that was the one I worked on in yesterday's stream, hold on, there we go, my Commissar. So she's got a lot of NMM on her, and it's fiddly little NMM. So with her, I really did take everything individually. I kept in mind that my light source was coming from the top, and I worked everything from that. But you just got to tackle it piece by piece. It's overwhelming if you don't. Otherwise, you're going to look at all this fiddly detail, like all this gold that I had to do, and just feel tired. Yeah, she's still got work on her. I've got to finish her greaves. I got to finish the black on this leg, because I just ran out of oomph on the black all at once. And then a little bit more steel in her hair, and then the basing, and she'll be done. But yeah, she's turning out really well. She's a commission. So when you're doing really intricate NMM like that, I really feel you got to break it down. Go slow, especially if you're not really familiar with NMM, or if you really aren't sure, like, because you've only done it once and on simple things or stuff like that, you look at it, you feel a little overwhelmed by so many details. In truth, tiny little detail NMM is some of the easiest NMM. You don't really have to worry about realism. You're more just trying to pop the highlight and shadows so that it looks like it's shiny and get the colors right. It's not nearly as difficult as doing something like that lion shoulder pad, where you've got to nail it. You've got to nail those highlights and shadows to make them look right. Let's see. I just use an overhead light usually, Maravi. Like, I've got, I can't really, maybe I can. So my light, here we go. I use the same light we use at ReaperCon, and it's an LED light. It's a light bar. It's a very dusty light bar right now. But I can just hold my model right under this and kind of paint in, like, it's really easy to just hold it under the light like this and paint in the shadows, for example. The highlights I know are going to be on the highest surfaces, but sometimes if there are subtle shadows, like holding it right up under your light source is a good idea. So that's what I do. I have this secondary lamp right here that I usually just use for a fill light, and I can drop that down and utilize it in that way. So let's see here. Yeah. Just take it piece by piece when you've got really intricate stuff. Light Miniatures, LIGHT Miniatures.com. David Diamondstone is his name. He currently has the top OSL tutorial on there on Google. #1. So, yeah. Definitely. Go give it a read. He's got some good stuff on his website. I keep bugging him to finish his NMM tutorial for his blog. Maybe he'll do it after ReaperCon. 1 second. Make sure... yeah. That's why I use paper, Koofs. That's why I use this construction paper. It's just, like, really cheap dark gray construction paper. I just got a pack of 50 of it. And, it doesn't have as much of a sheen, because construction paper has that dull finish. So I really find that it's a really good backdrop for photos, and for my painting in general, and for even taking photos. And if you're getting a lot of glare off your light source, you want to raise your lights up. Usually that's one thing you can do. And probably, like I said, just get a cheap great piece of gray paper. Pack of construction paper is like $3. And then you have 50 sheets, and you can keep using them when they get dinged up or paint accidentally gets on them. So, highly recommend just using paper. All right, it's after quarter after. Let's do another giveaway, Justin. How do you feel about that?
Sounds great to me.
I'm going to go and grab the paint that I dropped while I was gesticulating wildly, answering some question. While you do that giveaway. It's my Urgathoa Red. I don't want to lose it.
All right. Our second winner is...
Here.
Motor City Ray.
Whoa! Motor City Ray! You won a dragon! And 6 paints. Super.
Exclamation point claim, Ray.
Yep, exclamation point claim. Come on, Motor City Ray. You know you're listening to us. Where's that exclamation point claim? ReaperCon Discord is now live, says Planer. Woohoo! Oh, first Reaper win ever. Awesome, Motor City Ray. Well, I'm glad you got it on my show. Fantastic. Exclamation point claim, remember? Perfect. And you gotta email giveaways at reapermini.com. Give them your actual Twitch name exactly as you spelled it. Tell them you won it on Pro Tips, Reaper Pro Tips, and that it was the Big Dragon and 6 paints. Alrighty. Moving right along. Here we are. Congrats, Motor City Ray. Things are slow. Alrighty, let's see here. Are there any themes for new minis you'd like to see sculpted? For example, specific historical period or culture or style? Yeah, I really love Asian stuff. Like, I was pretty happy when we were doing the Legend of the Five Rings, the L5R minis, a long time ago. I would love to see, like, more samurai, like, more, more models in like kimonos, and the other thing I'd like to see actually is Victorian steampunk, more fancy ball gowns and funky dresses on women. I just got the I did an order from Dark Sword yesterday. I got the Sheltie, but I also got the what was it, Winter Solstice Maiden. She has a beautiful ball gown on. I just can't wait to paint it. So stuff like that. But I do love Asian stuff. I also want more busts, just in general, more busts. I could paint busts all day. So I'm very happy that Reaper is doing a few more busts now. Alrighty, let's see. And actually, David pointed out there was a Middle Eastern kind of style mini that Dark Sword has that I saw the other day, and that was kind of cool. We had a lot of Middle Eastern stuff when we were doing like Egyptian, like Nefsakar. I kind of wish we'd see a little bit more of that, more Arabesque. That would be cool. Oh, and then the art style that I always wish was represented more in miniatures is Art Nouveau. Let's see here. But you really want to do a bigger model for that, or a flat, I think. Let's see here. It actually doesn't matter as much as people would have you think, Gramstead. The thing that people usually say is use different water for rinsing your brush for metallics, because you don't want little metal specks to get into your other paint when you're rinsing your brush for using other colors. Some metallics, Gramstead, are going to be solvent-based, though. And when you have a solvent-based metallic and it's got that weird smell, that's usually going to abrade your brush a little bit. It may strip your brush a bit if you're using a nice sable. So just use synthetics at that point. You should be just fine. Or with a cheaper sable. Yeah, more Arabian Nights. I love the Arabian Nights. Yep. You bet. And yeah, Art Nouveau would be fantastic. Yeah, no problem. That's a quick question. I'll throw in a few quick questions from chat. Let's see here. What's my approach for painting the translucent green or red minis, ghosts, elementals from Vidarian? I did the Water Weird already some time ago. If you look back at the Water Weird stream, gosh, it would be last year. I was still at Reaper. But that's the only translucent mini that I've painted on Pro Tips. And it's really, I don't really utilize the translucent minis. So that was kind of my, okay, guys, here's how you do it. I suppose I could pick up a green one at some point. You use the same sort of thing. Essentially, you use translucent colors for the shading, and then you figure out, you use like one of the glow colors or something like Dungeon Slime for highlighting. And you try to keep most of the mini just the color it is, because you want that translucency to carry through. And if you cover up too much of the translucent material, it's not going to look see-through anymore. So that's kind of how you do. But look up the Water Weird. I did a whole Pro Tips on it, so like an hour and a half of how to paint the Water Weird, and I was really proud of how it turned out. Oh, Art Nouveau is so cool, Maravi. It's such a cool style. Skelsey, thank you for the sub. Fantastic. Probably the closest thing you get to is taking our clear brights and thinning them down, Gramstead. Ghost tints are usually just super saturated, highly pigmented, bright colors, vibrant colors. And so our clear brights are really where that's at. There are single pigment colors that are used for mixing and glazing. So that's usually the kind of thing that I use. Like if I need a glaze, I'm going to be using a clear green or clear blue or clear magenta. I use the clears a lot when I'm doing glowing effects, for example. So that's probably the closest thing to the ghost tints are pre-mixed, of course, but yeah, like you'd have to actually thin ours. And I would recommend using a little bit of our brush on sealer or a matte medium with them if you're going to do that, or a gloss medium if you're doing a glossy surface. Alrighty. Let's see here. Let me see here. Layered hair effects, such as fluffy, coarse hair with guard hair with 2 or more color tones from Rax. Just question mark. Well, it just so happens Mr. Grumpy is still up on my top here, so we're going to talk about Mr. Grumpy's fur on his ruff. I really feel that multicolored, like sable hairs with more than one color on the hair are something that you are going to be able to do much better on a bust. Most hair, when you try, I'll actually show. I just did a tutorial on wolves for my Patreon yesterday, guys. So Mr. Wolf here. So Mr. Wolf here was speed painted on my tutorial, so he's at most like a 20-minute paint job. and he's not finished, but this is to illustrate differences. The length of the hair is so short in 28 millimeter that there is really not a great way to do sabled effects. You could probably do like a light undercoat up to like a darker gray and then hit the little tips, but it might look a little weird just the way that everything is sculpted. I usually find it much easier to shade with my sabling and to highlight with my highlights. So, Mr. Wolf is an example of kind of doing two different colors on hair. But when it comes down to it, when you want to do guard hairs, you really need a model that's large and well sculpted. You need really well sculpted hairs. Because here you see, I've actually done the multicolored hair. We have kind of a gray undercoat, we've got a little bit of a highlight, and then we've got the dark tips. And I went through and did this by hand. So that tells you that's the most difficult thing to do, I think, on fur. But I wanted to do kind of a wolf fur ruff, and I wanted to have it look realistic. So I wanted the sabling. But I really feel like trying to do that on a small model is extremely difficult. You might be able to do it on one of the giants, like maybe the Fire Giant King. We can try to do something like that. Maybe we'll try it with Hellhound fur and see how it works. But it is really a hand painting process at that point. If you're interested in my wolf fur tutorial, by the way, it went up yesterday. It's only a $2 tier. So my Patreon is patreon.com/paintingbig. And right now, the $2. Actually, the last $2 tutorials I think have been really good. I've been very happy with them. That's wolf fur for this week. And then it was smooth skin tones on 28 millimeter for last month. So totally worth it. If you have $2, you can go over and patron me. I would love it if you did. Let me I'm messing up my screen again. Back to Anne. Woo! Alrighty, let's see here. Did I manage to go? I need to scroll this chat down. Let's see here. One of my favorite goth music groups back in the day. I like goth industrial. I actually was a big Sisters of Mercy fan. Some people would not call them goth, but I say that anybody with a voice as deep as Andrew Eldritch's voice is a goth band, even if they're a dance industrial goth band. So I liked some of Typo Negative stuff too. I like danceable goth, because I used to go to goth industrial dance clubs. So that's what I tend to listen to, and I still listen to Sisters of Mercy sometimes. If I'm trying to write something or paint something sci-fi, or dark future, I'll listen to goth music. Absolutely, goth industrial. The Mortal Kombat soundtrack is also a favorite, although that only has a little bit. Let me see here. What do we got? Looking. To add to Zero's, do I put on thematic music or a genre for the mood of my project to add energy? Sometimes I do, yeah, Francis. Sometimes I do. Just as we just mentioned. Let's see here. Oh, Sisters of Mercy's your favorite band? Awesome, Bloodwild. Yeah, they're still a favorite. It's still really danceable, really good music. I still like it. The Twitch videos skips from 2 months ago to 2 years ago. Go to YouTube, Vidarian. Go to our Reaper Miniatures YouTube. Do we have a command to bring that up, Justin? A link to that?
Yeah, I thought it was !YouTube. Hold on, let me check and see.
Skinny T, thanks for the sub. 5 months, awesome. Oh, KMFDM, yeah, I like some of KMFDM stuff too, Balrog. Yep. Yeah, you would never have guessed that I used to go to goth industrial dance clubs, and sometimes still do. Honestly, when I moved out here, guys, I was like, I wonder if they have a good goth industrial dance club. I don't care if I'm in my 40s. I don't mind going to dance clubs and dancing to goth industrial music. I'm all about it. That and alternative. During high school, I was all into the alternative. The Cure was my favorite band for a very long time. High school and early college.
Alternative is all I listen to, actually.
Yeah,
Basically all I listen to.
Yep. So fantastic. But then I also listen to things like Celtic folk music. So, I have a very wide music preference, as far as what I listen to at any given time. It's usually not even classed by genre. It's more classed by mood. So I've got happy feel good music, and then I've got butt kicking music, and I've got stuff like that. Oh, Daddy, can't we listen to something else? That's funny. Oh dear. Alrighty, so let's see here. But yeah, there's or specific music I'll listen to. And actually I use it. You can utilize music, guys. And this is true of both like things like studying and for painting. But if you want to actually like feel like painting more often, one thing that I do is if I really want to get down to work, I put on my headphones and put on my music, and then I start working immediately. Even if you don't feel like it, just start working. And what happens is over a couple of weeks, your brain will cue into the fact that putting on your headphones and starting your music playlist means that you're going to paint, and you're going to start getting in the mood to paint the minute you put your headphones on and start up your playlist. So it's kind of like how you trick your brain. You teach it that this is what we're going to do when we do this, and then you essentially assign a habit to it. And then every time you put on your headphones, even if you didn't before, you put on your headphones, you hit play, you're going to feel like painting, which is a way to trick the muse. You always want to trick the muse. Muse is not going to come to you. You have to go and grab her and drag her kicking and screaming into your studio. So I think it was Jack London who said that, yeah, I don't wait for inspiration. I go out and beat it with a club or hunt for it with a club. So I always love that quote because it's so true. It's so true. You've got to just, if you don't feel like painting, if you never paint, you're never going to feel like painting. It's just the way it is. Oh, let's see here. What's the minimum number of paint SKUs you, and specifically, would need to be able to mix the majority of the non-metallic color lines from home? Minimum number, huh? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I think maybe 11, 12. If I'm really going hardcore, like slim it down, you give me 12 colors of my choice, I can make any paint in the line. From scratch. From memory. So yeah, so that's how few colors you need. And it's pretty much all the clear brights. Although you could probably skip purple if you wanted to skip one. And then a couple of the secret clear brights, as we call them. And then lantern yellow, because clear yellow is a green shade yellow, and you need an orange shade yellow too. Yep. Well, that's how many pigments are on our pigment wheel image. And then we've got various pigments in other bases, but I can shortcut some of that because I know how it works. Well, I only skip clear purple squirrel knot because I know how to mix it from 2 other colors. Because clear purple isn't a purple pigment because we don't have access to like dioxazine purple. There's some artist pigments we don't have access to at Reaper. So it's mixed, but it's only 2 pigment. So it's very easy to mix. That's just because I'm Anne. Anybody else would need 278. Yeah, Ground Zero. There were clear brights that they're coming out again. They're called the earthen clears. The earthen clears are the oxides, so they're not really clear because they actually have great coverage. They're the earth tones, so like yellow ochre, like that sort of thing, brown oxide. So there were colors that I put out in the past for Reaper that were essentially clear brights, but we didn't call them that because they weren't like bright, shiny colors and they weren't clear because they were the oxide colors. But I need them for mixing to make that. You really want them to create a lot of browns, some oranges, stuff like that. Why don't I have access? Yeah, so things like one of the secret clear brights that's still in print, but we're going to be putting out a more saturated version of it, is like Palomino Gold. Palomino Gold, I tell you guys all the time, it's pure yellow ochre, right? So yellow oxide. So that is a secret clear bright because it's a single pigment paint. It does have a tiny bit of white in it because of its base though. So we're putting out a yellow oxide, or an oxide yellow, that's going to be more highly pigmented, and that's for the Bones 5 Kickstarter. So if you haven't locked in your pledge yet and you haven't ordered those new colors, do so. All right. Oh, we got a sub. Yay, I'm Gronig. Woohoo! Awesome. Awesome. Yeah, that was the old, that we used to use that triad for NMM gold all the time. All right, let's see here. Next. Trying to get through. We got a half an hour. We're answering a lot of stuff. All right. Inspired by your recent work on the Wraith, how would you go about blending color into a translucent mini? Well, same sort of thing, right? So, say that you were doing an undead mini. Let's get back to Minicam. So here's Wraith. So let's say you were doing one of the green undead minis. In that case, you would leave all of this green. And you would probably pick up something like Dungeon Slime or mix a little bit of clear yellow into clear green and add a bit of white to just pick out some of these edges and make them look like they're glowing as they go toward the edge. So the edges should be highlighted. Everything else should be green. Wherever you see me picking this up to white or near white, that's where you should put your light yellowish green color. You could also use neon yellow and add some white to it. And then everything else, you're going to be fading in the color that you want, painting it real thin over that translucent material and making it thick where you want the corporealness. So that is how you would do that if this was a see-through mini. You would paint this regularly, just like I did, and then you'd fade that color out into the translucence, and then you would highlight the translucence toward the edges with something that makes it look glowy. To make something look like it's glowing, remember, you need to take it up near white. And so you've still got to do that on a translucent mini. But you don't want to cover a lot of it. Oh, Paint Rack app in Discord. Yeah, I haven't used it, but hey, Zambies, how's it going? And as far as like my the clear brights and the secret clear brights, if you're on my Patreon, there's a $5 PDF from last year that covers the clear brights and talks about the secret clears. It actually gives the item numbers and everything. Some of them are out of print now, but they're coming back. Some of them are. So, and some of them are coming. A lot of them, like I said, those oxides that are coming out in the Kickstarter, those are all clears, earthen clears. Alrighty, let's see here. Here's a strange one. Oh, great. I'm just reading these cold, by the way, guys. I just like, I decided to just like not pre-read today. I decided I would just let you guys hit me with whatever. So far, it's been highly entertaining. Here's a strange one. Any suggestions for tattoos on non-standard skin tones? Both black and white and colored in. Non-standard as in orky green or mirrored blue. It's the same thing. It's the same thing as you do normal tattoos. So, if we look at... I thought I had... Oh yeah, Elf. Where are you, Elf? Go back to Cam. So if we look at Elf, I mean, he is kind of a non-standard skin tone. But I mean, you're going to do the same thing over any weird skin tone color. You're just going to, if you're doing a colored skin like a blue, you just have to remember that you are going to see some shift. Like if you put a red over that blue skin tone really thin, like red ink, it's going to look purple because you've got that blue skin tone under it. And it's just, that's the way that it would be if you were really tattooing somebody with a blue skin tone, is that any red color would shift purple. So you've got to, just the same as usual, you'd block in your design, you'd paint, if you wanted colors, you'd paint glazes down, and then you would glaze the skin tone over the whole thing. So that is the same in any color scheme. Usually with colored skin tones, I see people go with the traditional tattoo of blue-black because it is just the easiest thing to make look real. When you start putting colors in there, it can get a little dicey. Like I said, because of the color shifts that you get. So Mr. Elf is dubious of your attempt to do that. So, oh, and I finished the back, guys. See? And signed. So I had to finish off the base by putting a little bit of a satin coat lacquer over it, and then that one will be up for sale for my patrons, actually. Alrighty, let's see here. Woohoo! I missed a question back here. Keep in mind, if you ask a question and I don't catch it in chat, mostly I'm pulling questions from our Reaper Discord from the An AMA channel. So when we do an AMA, I just hit that list and I go as far as we can in our hour and a half, demoing and showing examples as necessary. So if I missed you, because I know I missed some stuff, somebody asked about Displacer Beasts, I think. I mean, Sandrocles, you really can't displace something. There's the illusion of displacement. I would probably paint it just like I painted the Wraith or the Water Weird. I would take, like, the head and maybe the tentacles and make them solid. And then I would just go have it fade back to translucent and maybe highlight the tail end like it's, like, shifting. That would probably give you the same effect, or as close of an effect as you're going to get. All right. Toughest. Yeah, it's the toughest elf in the realm. What did you say, Dwarf? Exactly. I really enjoyed painting that bust, actually. Alrighty. The giveaway is a big dragon, Memnor. We actually have given 2 away already. A big dragon, and then I'm giving away 5 paints. We have to check quantities, but it's going to be, like, for painting red, a selection for painting red.
6 paints, right?
Or 6 paints, sorry. 6. I am holding up 6 fingers. 6 paints. But yeah, so I will give Justin these colors afterwards, and we'll check stock and make sure that they are all in. I pushed it, my fault. I normally would have had the numbers for you guys, but I pushed it a bit late. Yes, you can wonder which big dragon, but it is a big dragon. Trust us, it's big. We have a new goal of 100 subs before we do an AMA, so that we can give away something cool. I wanted to give away big stuff. Or we can give away a ton of little stuff, but I like to give away the big stuff. Because you're more likely to, give away, you're more likely to buy little stuff for yourself. But the big stuff usually is a special occasion buy, so. Alrighty, let's see here. Here's a strange one. Any suggestions for tattoos? Oh yeah, that's an answer. Rax, so we're down to this one. Hold on. Did Valendar's. Rax showed me a ship. I was talking to him on the Patreon about that. Jetaros, paint cuts or burn scars. Alright, so I actually did talk to somebody about this recently. Yeah, if we're out of stock on something, you can assume you're not going to get it in the giveaway, guys. We do try to check with Courtney so he doesn't want to kill us. Or scars. The way that you typically want to do scars is you want to do them pink. So even on dark skin tones, when there's a cut or a scar, it'll heal over pink. And the way to deal with that is usually to use a bit of your, whatever, if you're doing a dark skin tone, you want to use a little bit of that and then kind of a medium skin tone and do some red in with it. So you mix a little bit of red into your native skin tone or into your skin tone mixed with kind of a medium color. And with a medium color, I would say rosy skin, tan skin. I usually use tan skin because tan skin works with everything. So even for dark skin tones, I would take that dark skin tone and I would mix a bit of tan skin and a bit of red into it and maybe even a little bit of white. You usually get that dark pink in the initial scar. You could even go purplish if it's a fresh scar. You could even mix in a little bit of purple. I do not know about Maldrakars. I know nothing about Maldrakars. Except the ones in my closet. Plural. But, anyway. I totally got derailed. Oh yeah, so scars. But you want to paint the scar usually that dark reddish, purplish, but then with a bit of skin tone mixed into it. Highlight it by adding white to that color or adding a little bit more red to the color and white. Because you get that pinkish thing. If you look at scars, it's a horrible Google search to do because you really cannot unsee anything of that. But next time you look at a scar, when it gets old, it gets just white. But that's really hard to make translate right on skin. Unless it's like a big bust, you can sometimes do pale kind of ghostly cut type of things on a big bust skin, and you can kind of have it carry. I find it very hard to make that sort of thing carry on small models, but technically you could do it that way. And if you did that, I would probably just mix white with the regular skin tone again. Or if it's a dark skin tone, I would mix a little bit of a lighter skin tone and then a little bit of white into it if you're doing a really pale, like scars. The other thing to make scars look real is you got to think about where they actually would appear. The most likely places for scars to appear. Don't put them in any improbable places. It may be harder to get it to carry. Another thing is you want to put them on somewhere where you've got a lot of space so that you've got space to see, for the eye to interpret that this is a skin tone, and then to make the scar across it. Alrighty. Lots of stuff. Yeah, I have a resin one, Dysphamus. That's the one I want to convert into Tiamat. That'll be a project for someday. All right, let's see. We got next thing. What are the property differences between pure black and solid black and pure white versus dragon white? Vidarian, I've answered this before, but I will answer it yet again. Pure black is pure black pigment, so coal black pigment, 100%. It is technically a clear bright, quote unquote, because it is a single pigment color. And then the solid black is actually many people's favorite black. It's a painter's black. It's actually made with black, but it's also got blue and brown mixed into it. And what this means is that it's a softer black. It's a more complex black. It's not as flat to the eye. So a lot of painters, it's more like what an oil painter might use for black. And so it's just a little bit warmer, less flat. It doesn't just disappear into a black hole. It's a bit warmer black. So that's how they're different. It actually has different colors in them. Same thing with Dragon Black. Dragon Black is a cold black. It has some blue in it, and some violet, I believe. So that if you can usually tell if you add white to any of those blacks, you'll see the shift. If you want to know how blacks are different, add a drop of white to each one, and you'll find out. And then the whites are a little bit different. Pure white is our highest pigmented white. It's just got a lot of white pigment shoved into it to be close to the threshold. We wanted it to be a very, very high quality white. The other whites are just slightly different formulations, except for solid white. Solid white from HD is actually a totally different white base, and it's a bit of a harsher white. So if you're looking for something to do super white highlights on, it is a little bit harsher than pure white. Gallifire, that's it's not a different white pigment, it's a different base. It actually acts a little different. Gallifire, that's the clear brights. So 90 SKU number 9094 through 9099, and then we actually talked about them a bit earlier too. But they're single pigment colors that are good for mixing. Sometimes they're dual pigment colors, but if so, there's like mostly one pigment and a little touch of another. But there's no like black, white, gray, brown, anything that could impinge on mixing good, clear, good bright colors. Let's see here. Have I ever painted anything smaller scale than 25 millimeter? Yes, but not really. War Master, which was 20 millimeter miniatures game from Games Workshop. It was in print when I was working at GW and I was selling on eBay. What I loved the War Master models for was actually as small models to press into Sculpey to do like scenes, like friezes and bas relief behind models, so use it as a backdrop. So there was one time I got a War Master Griffin, for example, and I used it I pressed it into putty to bake and get kind of a relief sculpture in an alcove behind a figure. So I did paint it, but I painted it all in grays and blacks and whites. So I've never done really tiny. They don't attract me. Big stuff attracts me. That's why my Patreon and my Twitch are called Painting Big, is that I really love big models and all of the details that you can do on them. So little models just don't really excite me. But that was a cool trick to use, using 20 millimeter models as to press them into putty and use them as backdrops. But yeah, so let's see here. Yeah, try solid black. It's not as brown. Like, you can definitely see the brown in walnut brown, but you can't see it in solid black as much until you start highlighting it by adding white. Or maybe it was more, maybe it was 15 mil, Valadar. Maybe it wasn't 20. I don't know. It was tiny, though. It was little stuff. No, I worked at the American office. So I was out in Glen Burnie, Maryland when I worked there, and I was mostly in the office. And then I worked at a store. But when I came back to Wisconsin, before I moved down here to work for Reaper, I worked for GW Retail in Chicagoland. I don't know if I do, but I have Unknown Strife. My Patreon has been asking me for a rundown on the different blacks and near blacks. Because we also have Nightmare Black, which is a very blue black. You know, we've got stuff like that. We've got Noir Black, which is a faded t-shirt black. You know, we've got all that stuff. So really, when it comes to write-ups, I use my Patreon for that. So I could, I'm planning on a black write-up in the future. Chris Hare, great question. And when you walk around and see things in real life, do the matching paint color schemes jump into your head? Or numbers? Yes, they do. The latest was walking by a Japanese maple tree and going, "Oh, hey, that looks like burgundy wine highlighted with violet red, and I could put some 9419 with that." And yes, I actually had that thought. So yeah. Just don't, yeah. It's bad, guys. It's just bad. David's in here now and he's laughing at me totally. But yes, okay. Fun question, Chris Air. Thank you. Yeah, and Epic was even smaller at 6 million. Yeah, I remember Epic. Let's see here. What's my favorite cut type of steak? Let's just say it together, folks. Ribeye. The ribeye is king. I just made one in cast iron last night. They actually had like what I call Texas cut steak at Sprouts, like when it's this thick. That's the proper thickness for the ribeye. So yeah. Completely
agree.
Yeah, so I did ribeye in cast iron last night. It was grass fed on sale, Justin. It was so good.
That's right. You keep finding this grass fed beef that's like thick cut on sale up there. I'm kind of jealous.
Yeah, like California, every once in a while it doesn't disappoint me with steak. And the prices aren't that different from Texas. Like, it doesn't go as low in some things, but on steaks, they'll go down to like, $13, $14 a pound, even on the grass-fed sometimes. I was very happy. But yeah, what color would I paint a mailbox? It depends on the color of the mailbox, Sandercleese. Everybody's mailbox is a different color. Let's see here. Where are we? Okay, we got about 12 minutes. Maybe we started a little late. Let's call it about 15 to 20.
As far as thickness, I would say like I know you kind of use your fingers, but probably 3 inches thick, reasonably.
Oh,
Like,
three's a little bit much. That's like more of a roast, I think. Like usually inch and a half is what I've heard for a rye. Like inch and a half, maybe a little. This last night's was 2 inches. I don't know if I would do more than 2 inches, Justin, because I found that unless you bring it up to room temperature, it doesn't necessarily. You don't quite get to medium rare in the middle. You just have a real rare strip in the middle. If you're,
right?
yeah. So I don't want to do it too thick. Because you don't want to do it for too long or you're going to cook too through it. So it's like this fine art of timing and heat. I love it. Let's see here. I'm sold on restarting painting using Reaper Master Series paints. My problem was whether to dive in big and grab one of the larger core color sets. This is from DDH Rocks. Or start smaller. Part of me says I should grab as large of a kit at the start as I can. That way I have all I need to paint rather than ordering some and then wishing I had more. Is that smart? Is it better to cherry pick a set of all-star colors to start and just mix what I need? I think that really what that depends on, DDH, is... do you kind of have a color palette that you particularly like, or are you learning to use the paint still? I always think it's smart to start with the starter set, or if you're learning to paint again, you could start with the Learn to Paint kits, which Rhonda will take you through, like paint consistency and how to thin the paint and to what ratios. So that can be a good experience to start working with Master Series, because it is really different in consistency compared to almost any other paint line on the planet. And so those may be good picks for you to go slow. Because if you buy a big pre-made kit, I always get, I've been painting for ages, so I have definite color preferences, so I tend to like to cherry pick. But I might buy a small starter set just to get going, and then I'll add colors based on it. I might even do that right off the bat. Like, buy the starter kit, look at the colors that are in it, and say, oh, well, there's not a dark blue, or oh, there's not a dark purple, or there's not like a really pale skin tone, and then cherry pick the other colors to kind of fit in with what you're wanting. I prefer that approach myself. Because let's face it, if you have all of other paint from other lines, you still have fallbacks if you need them, and it might give you an idea of what you need to order next time. It lets you spread out your purchases a little bit. If you've got a lot of spending cash, then you don't have to worry about that so much. But for a lot of us, spreading out our purchases is an effective way to build supplies for the hobby. So yeah, it's a very individual approach, I find. If your gut says you want to buy a big chunk of paint, buy a big chunk of paint. But often I think it's maybe worth more just to start with a good core and build from there. If you want a good core that isn't a huge lot of paint, I highly recommend the Starting Bones set, which is the first 54 colors. I built that set to be a standalone set. It has everything you need. It has metallics and skin tones and all of the basic colors. And then from there, you can maybe pick up some liners and some clear brights and primer and sealer and things like that are logical build-ons to that. Or you can do the same thing with the first 54 colors of core. But I'm very proud of the Bones line, so I tend to promote it. I think it's the best. It's the best contained line that I've ever done. That first 54 colors. Let's see here. More. Valendar. Okay, so there's dozens of tutorials out there on how to make a round cabochon gem, quote unquote, like found on almost all Citadel Eldar. Look like a ruby or an emerald or whatever. But how would you make it look like a diamond or other clear gemstone? Probably I'd be using the same sort of techniques, Valendar, but I'd be using like a blue-gray and a white. Like it kind of tends to get kind of that bluish gray for the shadows. Look at pictures. So let's look. Now, most diamonds are faceted, but remember that you're going to get, let me see here. And diamonds are faceted for a reason, right? So you get those rainbows. So really, you might want to look for smooth white quartz. Go image search. Google is your friend. It's not going to give me gems. What kind of is? Yeah, those aren't transparent enough. Let's go to white diamond. I'm going to go white diamond and try for uncut and see what we get. Because then we might get... See, because most of the time, let me get this down here. So I love Google searches. And remember that diamonds can have colors in them too. So you can have yellow and grays and stuff like that. But look for a picture. Most of these are taken in pretty neutral soft boxes. I am getting a little bit of uncut gems like this. There's some smoother ones. Let's see if I can get, that's rough diamonds. So those have kind of a yellow cast. So you can have pink diamonds, blue diamonds, yellow diamonds. But you can see, otherwise it's still going to have like a dark gray for your darkest color. You're going to have a light gray for your lightest color. And then your colors on the rest of it is going to depend on if you have a color shift or what your setting is. But looking at these diamonds, you don't get the rainbow effect like you do with a cut diamond. That's why diamonds are cut. So I think that's probably why, there's a pink diamond. That's probably why you don't see it. Well, that's an interesting one. So you could get this is more what I was thinking of, is doing kind of a blue-gray or blue-white, and doing it that way. But you can see what I'm talking about. You'd still use the same sort of mid-tone, and then you'd use your highlight color. I mean, this isn't polished, so you're not getting the light transmuting through it quite clearly, but you are getting a little bit of an under-highlight here. So yeah, I would probably use a blue-gray, because otherwise using the yellow, it might not translate as diamond to most people. Most people are thinking of something pure white, and when you're thinking pure white, often you're thinking gray with a touch of blue. So, all right, let me go back to talking to you guys. And I need chat. Chat. There you are. All right. Oh, Lord, thank you for the resub. 2 months. Yay. Grats. There is a green-black, yeah. Balrog John, we haven't been able to find a real good iridescent flake, we need to find something that covers, we need to find something. Iridescent is difficult because most of the time you're just dealing with color shift powders at that point, and you need a really fine powder, but then you have problems with coverage, and you can't add a lot of pigment to it because then you're going to lose the shine. I tried to mess around with them a lot when I was still at Reaper and still in charge of the paint department, and if Reaper's looking for coverage, then it is problematic. It's kind of a feature of those paints that they need to be transparent, because the way the light passes through the strata is what gives you that color shift. So no plans that I know of, but Ed may have Sadie pursuing it still. I'm not certain. A lot of the thing about color shift, though, is that so many other companies do them now. And if Reaper can't do them better, or we can't do them like cheaper, then we would just be like splitting hairs then, really, with, everybody and their dog has a color shift line right now. Even folk art has color shift paints, and they're not bad. Fluorescent we looked into. I think we're still trying to find a good fluorescent paint. A lot of the fluorescent pigments that are out there for water soluble, though, are like student grade, like they're for kids, and so they're not very high quality. So once again, you run into that. We want a high quality pigment that does what you guys want it to do. And it can be hard to find. It can be hard to source. So that's something that Sadie and Ed would be in charge of trying to source. I think it is black-green. And also you could look at green liner. I would recommend actually green liner Groening, because that's, if you're going to use it for shading, especially because the green liner has a nice transparency. So hey, Vilar, thank you for the Prime sub and welcome to the community. Awesome. No, the way to do that, Odiezy, I mean, if you look at the ultra black that's out there, there's one guy who does like the super like black hole black. The only thing he's doing is loading up a lot of black pigment and then flatting it, making it super flat. So that you can get that just by taking our pure black and adding a little bit of anti-shine additive, to be honest. I mean, I looked at his black. A couple of my friends got that product, the ultra black, and that's what it was. It was really just a good solid coverage black with a lot of matting agent, just enough matting agent added to it to make it super matte. And the reason that it looks like a black hole on camera is that no light is reflecting really back at the camera because it's a super matte surface. So the problem with that is just that you go too far on that matting stuff and you can get frosty instead of matte. So yeah, we could do it. Everybody I know who bought that stuff doesn't use it for anything. It's like a novelty paint. So I'm like, well, if Reaper wants to, they totally could do it. It'd be super easy. Green shadow, yeah. Black green went through a weird thing, I'm Grunig. Yeah. We did a green shadow, but then we already had a shadow green, or, we had a lot of, 2 greens that were very similar names that were different colors, and so I got shifted. Yeah, Green Liner 9308 is the one that, if you want a really black green, I would go there. If you're going for a swampy green, though, definitely go for Swamp Green 9175. It is one of my favorite dark greens of all time. It's beautifully translucent, and you can do such wonderful swampy things with it. All right. Let's see here. Oh, lots of chat today, and we're almost done. We want to do, let me see what we got here. And I've got this stuff. Night Sky Indigo and Night Sky Blue are similar, but not the same, Otter Mama. And then, yeah. And actually, Jezebel responded actually in chat. Similar, but not the same. Yeah. Night Sky Indigo is a little bit more purple. All right. I've got a couple other questions. You want to do our last giveaway, Justin, before I do these last two questions?
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay. So everybody do the hashtag AMA. Hashtag AMA, if you are new, we are doing a big dragon and 6 paint giveaway. It's a selection of reds that I used to paint red, all the way from the darkest shadow to the brightest orange. So those are the paints we are giving away today, and a big dragon. Big, and we mean big. We mean big. All Justin right. Went and picked a big dragon.
Our final winner is Purplelycan.
Oh, wow. Purpley, congrats! Do an exclamation point claim, CLAIM, in the chat, please.
If your name is Purplelycan.
If your name is Purplelycan. Yay! There you go, Purplelycan. And I love your name, because purple. Congrats, Purplelycan. You get a big dragon. Now, remember to email giveaways, plural, giveaways, at reapermini.com. Tell them your name is Purplelycan and that you won the dragon and 6 paints on the Reaper Pro Tips show today. And then we will take care of you. We will get the stuff out to you. And congrats. Purplelycan. So you're actually a purple wolf. Am I correct? I like Purplelycan too. If you are Purplelycan, I will remember you from now on. I guess if you're a Lycan, you could be a different lycanthrope.
I don't know. I think Purplelycan is the best.
I think Purplelycan is a pretty awesome name, actually.
Yeah, I completely agree.
Oh, dear.
It's going to get used. Yeah.
It's so cute the other way. Yeah, Hagar, I kind of agree. It's the pen is mightier. Oh, funny. Funny. Yes, that's so funny. AI, you're terrible. All right, so let's see here. So Mathophile asked, what's my advice on chainmail, NMM versus TMM? I think they're both pretty... Chainmail sculpted at 28mm is super simple to paint with either of those techniques. It's just, you really want to highlight it and shade it in mass. So if you have a big fold, and I think I've done this like just on a small model. I did it in the past on Pro Tips, like way in the past though. So maybe I'll have to get a model with chainmail and do it up new. Gurgi, I believe that Justin was waiting to tell you what the dragon was until he could check with Courtney on amounts. Unless you want to reveal it now, Justin, if you've heard.
Yes. Well, I mean, we can go ahead and tell people like what our goal is.
What we hope to give you.
Yes, we're about 98% sure it's possible.
Okay, go for it.
But there's always a 2%. So if you guys get a different large dragon, then you know why.
Yep.
The dragon we plan on giving away today is Troxul.
Yes, big dragon, big red dragon. So that's why I'm giving you reds. You're going to need them. Although you can paint T-Rock any way you want, really. Yes, so that's what that is Justin's favorite dragon, favorite big dragon. So that's the one that we decided we would give away. And you know, like I said, if you have 2, then you can paint one color and the other another color. Do you have any purpley dragons? You could paint any dragon purpley. Actually, I use purple shadows on red dragons. So my red dragons tend to be somewhat purpley. Alrighty, and then so yeah, for chainmail. Really, you want to highlight and shade it in bulk. So, like, you don't want to do the individual links at first. You just want to do a mid-tone, highlight, shadow. And that's true of metallics. I mean, obviously, you could do a wash if you start with a gray to pick out all those little pinpoints. That's easy. And then usually just a side brush, honestly, for highlighting. Chainmail is so easy, whether it's chainmail or whether it's TMM or NMM. I use the same type of techniques. and it usually highlights up beautifully at 28mm. It's just a very simple technique. You don't really need to go crazy with it because it's never the point of the model. Like chainmail is usually used as skirting or you know, something on the sides of sleeves and things. It's not like the point. So you just need to get it done and make it look like reasonably good. So let's see here. Oh, the kaiju. Yeah, I don't know. He's huge. But I like dragons. I like dragons. All right. I still have that question about hair color. Hold on, Nanara. Let me do one more. Okay, Tistor. I've heard advice to seal an area if you're not happy and need to go over it. Do you think this works? And if it does, how do you clean up after a mistake? I've never... Seal an area if you're happy and need to go over it. Okay, so with Vallejo paint, that works. Essentially, like, okay, I'm happy with this so far, I'm going to seal it, and then if I make a mistake on my next layer, I can just scrub it off. So that works with Vallejo because they have a more, a softer paint base, so you can really scrub it off of the sealer. Like, the sealer usually will give you a layer that's a little easier to scrub paint off of, but I don't know if it works for Master Series. So I used to do that with Vallejo. When I was painting, like long before I started at Reaper, I would use a lot of Vallejo paint because it really is the best quality. It was the best quality paint on the market at that time, and I found that it was prone to rub off because I always used it very thin, and so I ended up dull coating every couple of layers to preserve my work and then go over the top. And Jennifer used to use it as an erase button, where she would do her cape, you know, highlight and shade her cape that she was going to do freehand on, put dull coat over the top, and then she would trace on her design in white, and if she ever, really thin Vallejo white, and if she ever needed to correct it, she could just scrub it off with a brush. Because the sealer would work that way for the Vallejo. But I do not know if it works on Master Series, because Master Series has much better adhesion, and it's a much harder paint. Sticks to the model better. So I don't know that that is actually a thing with our paint line. I usually just try to be quick and to hit my blurfs when I first make them, before they've fully set, before they've fully dried. And that's my my solve for that at this point. Okay, Inara. Shoot. Go for it. T-Rock Zool. So T''RAUKZUL, I think. Yeah, just like Chris Hare spelled it. It's the new one, not the old one. The new one is really huge and awesome. Has quite an impressive male skin. Blue skin, brown leather, hair color, white. I would go pale gray to white. You could also go blue-black. If you're trying to do something unusual, I'm trying to think, you could maybe do purple-black. Maybe. Depending on the exact blue of the skin. If it's a really, but I usually would go neutral with that. Because with Frost Giants, like blue skin, anything like that, yeah, it's the T-Rex dragon. He's awesome. He is really cool and impressive, though, on the table. Really impressive. He makes a really nice, impressive dragon to put on your bookshelf, too. Yeah, then I might go blue-black. I might go with, do a black base coat on the hair and then take some blue liner, mix a tiny bit of white with it, and just do increments up with that. Then you might, if it's a really saturated light blue, you could use Nightmare Black instead of blue liner. If it's a slightly muted blue, then I would use blue liner. And just add white to it, highlights, and keep most of the hair dark. You could still go white. You could still go with a pale gray. And do it up that way as well. But I tend to, with odd skin tones, you can get yourself into color trouble so fast that I would usually not go weird with the hair. You could maybe do a white blonde. Maybe. Depending on the blue. Yeah, if you want to do something a little more interesting than just a flat neutral, then you could try to do like a white blonde. In which case, I might start with like blonde highlight and very carefully add in shadows and I'll highlight it up to white. All right, everybody. It looks like people got to go walk their dogs. Kiri is also probably ready to go out. I hope you guys had super fun. I hope everybody who won is happy about their dragons. And yeah, don't remember, today is Reaper's huge programming day where we have so many shows. Justin, reel them off for everybody.
Actually, today is this day because it's the other week. It's only got Reaperland left in today, and that's it.
Oh my gosh, it's the alternating day.
Yeah, the next week after that, though, we have Reaper Errant and the Bones 5 update. such that we have 4 shows going on Friday, and it is a busy day.
Well, geez, then I guess today is kind of relaxed day. For me, it's Watch
It
Overwatch League
is.
day.
It's kind of nice, actually. I look forward to these days because I can get more done
Yep.
that isn't just directly streaming.
Yeah,
So.
yeah. Yeah, only Reaperland. John is like, only. Funny. Yes, and soon we will have ReaperCon. Yes, it is true. I have to get David to get his OBS set up. But yeah, so I hope that you guys. Oh, big Discord and ReaperCon live rundown on Reaperland today. See, you guys all got to tune in. That's what, at 3 a.m. or 3 p.m. Central. 3 a.m. No.
Oh boy, no.
3 p.m. Central.
Correct.
Yes, yes, awesome. All right, guys, I hope you all have a fantastic weekend. Stay tuned. I'm working on stuff for the Patreon if you're on my Patreon. Probably won't stream this weekend, but you never know. Have a good one. Have a fantastic weekend. Relax. It's very hot here today, so we have some really hot weather right here. I hope you all get outside and enjoy your summer if it's at all enjoyable. All right? Have a good one. Bye, everybody.
Thank you guys very much for coming out. Keep being awesome. Spread the Reaper love. And yeah, here in about 2 hours, come tune in while we run through some ReaperCon live stuff on Reaperland. Thank you guys very much.